Good morning, beautiful wives. Welcome back to the Respect There 40 days to a deeper connection with God and with your husband. I have to share with you, I had been here recording this for 10 minutes and realized he wasn't recording at all. So I'm here again for our Dare 14. Treat him like a man. The verse of the day is, she brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. And on this there, we see a couple that is they just had a baby, right? And they're fighting over the crib that they're putting together the crib, and the neighbor comes to bring them dinner. Like a nice neighbor, right? My neighbors don't come bring me dinner, but anyway, so this neighbor comes to bring them dinner and see how the baby's doing and whatnot, and they don't realize that she's at the door, and they don't realize that whatever it is that they're talking is the voices are coming out on the intercom, and the neighbor is hearing their entire conversation. And it would have been okay, not super nice, but okay if they were having a great conversation, right? But it wasn't. Like she was treating him like a child, and disrespecting him, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're still not doing it right, and this and that and whatnot. And the neighbor was feeling very uncomfortable, so she rings the doorbell again. The wife finally realizes there is somebody at the door. She sends the husband to go get it, and the husband is receiving the neighbor and the dinner and whatnot until the wives come. And the wife comes, and she mistreats her husband, treats him like a child, disrespects him right in front of the neighbor. And it makes the neighbor think of something that she had done in the past. And what I realize in this moment while I'm reading it is that we don't realize what we're doing when we are doing it. I don't think that this lady would have treated her husband this way if she realized how disrespectful that was, how condescending that was, and how embarrassing to herself, really. Like what? So I don't think we realize our tone towards our husbands when we are doing it, because really it reflects the attitude of our hearts. It reflects how we feel inside, right? The Bible says that the mouth speaks what the heart is full of, and whether we try to hide it or not, it comes out, because that's what our hearts are full of, right? So it's not a matter, and that's a good thing, because some people are very good in performing and pretending, but most of us are naturally not, right? And I believe that, when we watch our hearts, and when we heal our hearts from past wounds, and when we take care of ourselves, we don't have to be so concerned about every single word that's coming out of our mouth, because it's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of honor, and it's coming from a place of respect. And as soon as something comes out that contradicts what's in our heart, we are able to catch it, and we are able to go back to ourselves and ask ourselves, why did that come out this way? I don't even mean that. I don't even want that. I don't even think this way. I don't even feel this way. Why is it coming out that way? Is there a little bit of a wound that still needs healing in me? Because at the end of the day, it's not about changing our husbands. It's about changing ourselves, right? And not to become somebody we're not, and not to pretend we are something we're not, and not to perform, but really to heal ourselves and free ourselves from things that kept us in bondage in the past. So anyways, this lady is obviously not even realizing, which tells me that there is a lot that needs to be healed in her that she doesn't even know about, right? And I believe that that is true at some level, right? For all of us, because there is things in our heart that we're going to need to fix and heal until Jesus comes back. The point is, do we know about them? Are we aware of them? Are we constantly working on ourselves? Or do we just think the problem belongs to our husband and our husbands alone, right? So anyways, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so she goes on, the neighbor goes on to think like, oh, wow, years ago I thought that way about my husband, right? And she recalls a moment that she called her husband her third child in front of other women, and she felt shame about it in this moment. And so the do it the so what about you, the do it yourself part today is ask your husband if you ever treated him like a child, you know and I began to think about it, and I have never treated my husband as a child because I simply don't see him that way. I never did ever since we met. And it doesn't mean that I'm super respectful all the time. It really doesn't. Sometimes I have attitudes and behaviors that can come across very disrespectful, and but treating him as a child has never been one of them, because I have never seen him that way. Maybe because he's 14 years older than me, he's a mature man, he's been through a lot himself, and a lot of things that have matured him, I mean, and he really is a mature man, so I have never thought of him as a child. But none that's not to say that has never happened to me. My husband is my second marriage, and in my previous marriage, I do remember referring to my ex-husband in this manner, and treating him as such, really, because that's what was in my heart. Was it that he acted childish? Maybe. Was it because I was childish and I wasn't mature? Maybe. So the question is, what is it in me that I need to heal and that I need to grow in order not to see that person that way anymore, right? Because remember, we're not trying to change our husbands. We're trying to grow and change ourselves, right? To become more mature ourselves, to become more respectful ourselves, to become better people ourselves and better wives. And that way, we can impact our marriage with what we can actually control, right? So, I believe that the question would be, for ourselves, besides everything that she recommends us to do, is, God, is there something in my heart that makes me see my husband as a child? If that's the case for you. If that's not the case for you, that's wonderful. Don't even bother. But if it is the case for you, then ask yourself that question. God, what is it in my heart? What lie am I believing that's making me see my husband as a child? Because a lot of times, guys, they're just built differently, and that's okay. There is a lot of things that my husband does that annoys me, because it's just so different, than me, and I have to give him specific instructions because otherwise he doesn't understand it. But that is not because he's a child. That is because he's built differently. That is because he's a man, right? So, anyways, I think that sometimes, when we like in the case with this lady in the crib, right? We don't know that he was building something that was wrong. All we see is that she was giving him instructions in a very specific way for a very specific thing that whatever, like he according to her, he wasn't doing it the way that she was telling him to do, right? But it doesn't mean the crib was gonna fall. So a lot of times, it's just that we want things done the way that we want things done, so we might as well do it ourselves. Does that make sense? Because I think that many times, oftentimes, it's not a matter of them being a child, it's a matter of you really didn't want him to do it his way, you wanted him to do it your way, and that's as plain as that, right? So it says here, I'm going to go to question number 4. Pick 2 things from... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Question number 3. Make a list of 8 things that wives in general can do to make their husbands feel like men. And I hope you share those thoughts with me. I hope you share your list with me. I would love to hear your list. because I want to do those things too, right? We are always growing, and I would love to do more things that make my husband feel like a man because he is one. So I'm gonna share my list with you. Um, Things that make them feel like men. And again, if some of these don't apply to you, just don't do it or ignore them and move on. But I would like to hear your list as well, and I'm sharing mine with you. So number one, initiate sex. I think that that's one of the things that make them feel like a man, and I think that that's applicable to all men. Initiate sex, yeah. Um, Number two, uh, thank them for working hard to provide for the family. Um, unless that's not the case, but most of the time it is. And it's not a matter of who makes more money. It's a matter, he works hard to provide. And that's just the fact. So if that's the fact, thank him. Take the time and thank him. Um, Ask them for their insight. I think that this is one of the things as well that has really brought my husband and I to the next level, is asking him for insight. He has great insight for my life because he has oversight over my life because he is my husband, right? So he has my best interest in mind because he loves me. So when he tells me something about someone, um, before I would tell him, "Oh my gosh, you're just so negative," and you just want to talk about negative about this person and whatever. But now I have changed my perspective, and I began to listen to him because the things he says usually eventually happen, right? So I begin to value his insight, and I ask him for insight. It's like, what do you think about so and so? This happened. What do you think of it? Like, what is your insight? What do you feel about it? Like, what is your impression? What is God sharing with you about this person and this friendship that I have? You know what I mean? So I do appreciate his insight, and I ask for it, and I think that has been very, very valuable for us. Number four, tell him your opinion and said, but the decision is yours to make. So sometimes, a lot of times, my husband will come to me and he'll tell me something, whatever, and he tells me, "What do you think?" And I tell him what I think, but I also tell him, but it's your decision. I don't want you to make this decision just because I'm telling you what I think. It's your decision, and I respect your decision, and whatever it is that you choose to do, I'm with you. And I think that has brought a lot of value to us as well. And very often he will take my opinion as his own, and make that decision, based on what I suggested, unless he feels very adamant about the opposite. But most of the times he doesn't. But when I just gave him my opinion for free, and forced it upon him, he would very rarely do what I said, right? So another one, number five, letting him know that we trust them. I telling him, I trust you. Whatever you decide to do on this, I'm with you because I trust you. Has come a long way for us. Another one is asking him about his work and then expressing admiration. I don't understand what my husband does for a living. I don't understand what he does for work. I have no idea. Like, I built his website for him because we just opened a new business, and I copied and paste whatever it is that he told me to put on each page, and I have no clue how to even read those letters and the codes that he put there, but yet I can ask him about it. I can allow him to share it with me, and I can truly, honestly, genuinely express admiration for him because I admire what he does, although I don't know what it is. So it's genuine, it's not fake. I do admire him. And I don't need to understand it to be able to admire him, right? I don't need to understand it to be able to have a conversation about it with him. Okay, so next one, thank him for anything that he does in the home, and do not criticize. I think that before, um, every time I'm folding laundry in the bed, he comes in and helps me fold, right? And I'm very particular in the way that I like the towels and the sheets folded, not because um, I want to control how they are, but because it's how it fits in my linen closet. My linen closet is pretty small, and if I don't fold it in a particular way, it doesn't fit, so it's all like shoved in there, and I don't like that. I like it to be organized. So I he knows that already about me, right? So when he comes to help, he doesn't touch the towels anymore, and he doesn't touch the sheets anymore, because he understands that I like it in a particular way, and however he does it, I'm going to do it again, but before I would just criticize him, and how he did it, until one day I took him to the linen closet and I say, look, this is how it's organized, and the problem with you folding it this way is that it doesn't fit, and so I don't want to continue criticizing you, but when it comes to the towels and the sheet, it's okay, you can just leave them there, and I'll do it whenever I have time, or I'll do them myself, you know what I mean, and you can help me with everything else, because I do appreciate your help. I do, guys. I appreciate, even though most of the clothes are his anyways, but I appreciate, that he comes and he folds it with me, I appreciate his company while doing it with me, right? But I don't need him to do the towels, and that's it, so I just thank him for doing all the rest, if that makes sense. Anyways, show interest in something they like, and this is also something that I don't know that I have always done it, but I have been doing it for a few years, and it does make a difference for us. Is showing interest in something they like. And my husband loves baseball. He used to be a baseball player. I don't even know what baseball is about. I don't even know how to tell a football field from a baseball field, but he he likes it, and he wanted to take me to a game, so we went to this game, and before we went to the game, I asked him, like, show me, teach me, help me understand a little bit more about the game, so that when we're there, I can at least know what they're doing, right? So and little things like that, and again, I still don't understand anything about baseball, and I already forgot everything he told me, but in that moment, it was important to him that I showed interest in something that he liked, and I think that we can do that very often, all right, so the challenge that there is to circle 2 of the things you put on your list and then do them, right? So share your list with me, please, and let me know which ones you are doing. You can even comment on my list and say which ones you liked, which ones you didn't like, and why or why not. Okay? All right. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.